Hey guys, it's Joe here from Team Omnipoke, the channel that brings you everything Pokemon. Today we're back on TCGO and we're going to be looking at different types of Yveltal variants today. We're going to be playing against Jack, a good playtesting partner to have and also part of the channel. He's going to be coming up first with a Donphan deck, and we're going to be using Yveltal-Garbodor to start off with. Probably the most stable deck. It's been around for a while. And we're going to see how it does with some new cards introduced from Phantom Forces. As we can see, Sub-Robot, DCEs, Fightings. He's playing a Donphan deck. I already know this, but you could tell from his opening mulligan that he has that sort of stuff. So we get a decent startup, and we're going to draw for our mulligan and get going. Here's one of the new cards from Phantom Forces, Wobbuffet, with his Bide Barricade. As long as he's active, each Pokemon in play, hand, and discard has no abilities except for Psychic types. He's gonna get a Float Stone straight onto that and get the Fang Club down to get some two basic Pokemon. He gets 2 Fampies, pretty standard stuff. Standard turn 1 from him. Gets a Strong Energy straight onto one of those Fampies, powering it up. One of the reasons why Donphan is so strong is with all that fighting support. And let's see what we can get here. Straight away I'm going to want to get an attachment for the turn. We're going to shove a DCE on. Also, we're going to want to get our Garbodor out as soon as possible, because knowing Donphan decks, he's going to get Sigilyphs and sometimes even Snorlax and stuff like that in our way. And we don't really want him to have that sort of abuse on our dudes. So we're going to use a computer search here. Getting rid of a Skylar and a Darkness Energy. That Dark Energy in the discard could be helpful, because we do run Baby Yveltal in this deck. Gonna have a little scan through the deck here. As you can see, we're running a Raichu line as well. That's just mainly for the mirror match. It's also good against Pyro and stuff like that. Extra help as well as the Garbodor. So here is a Trubbish. I know I'm going to be grabbing one of these straight away. Just looking through, doing some counts in my head real quickly. That looks pretty good. Slap the Trubbish straight down. Go for a Float Stone, why not? And fire off Laser, because we're going to be using a Sycamore to grab 7 more cards. Pretty strong start from us. Good hand in the opening. And it seems pretty okay from there. And we're just going to see what Jack can do in his turn. Get 10 damage on. We've not got the Verbank City Gym in play yet to increase that output, but that's fine for now. He starts off with a Megaphone, seeing that I'm playing Trubbish. He doesn't want anything to do with that all game. If he can, he's going to want that Sigilyph to just wall my attacks, so get rid of the tools early. And of course you saw him use a Juniper, so may as well use it now instead of just not using it, because he wasn't going to save it otherwise with the Juniper. He gets a Donphan in play, the main attacker of the deck. For those who don't know, spinning turn, 40 damage, switch to the bench. That gets stacked up with Strong Energies and the Stadium. Also Wreck, a powerful attack that can be a good finisher in games if you're not dealing with Donphan straight away. He gets a Sub-Robot to the bench. Another annoying thing that can be thrown up in Donphan's place when he does a spinning turn. But he decides to go back to Wobbuffet with the Float Stone on it. Interestingly enough, you can put a Float Stone onto a Sub-Robot, but the text of the card says that you can't retreat it. So if you do put up a Sub-Robot, you pretty much it's a waste if they're not actually going to kill it, and then you end up discarding it anyway. But it still serves the purpose of stopping an attack for the turn. So we have a few options here. And what we need to do, we get that Garbodor into play straight up. That's good. We do have energy. It's just thinking if we want to catcher this turn, or Lysander. Evil Ball is doing 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Not enough to get the knockout of Donphan, so we want to save the Lysander for when we can actually get a kill on it. But we could also go for something like the Fampi, get an early burst of damage on that, and try and limit his Donphans from there. At the moment he's only doing 40 damage, so we're not under too much pressure. So I feel like that might be the route we're going to go down for this turn. because the only other supporter is Juniper, and I'd rather use a Lysander early than not. So we're just going to go here and use Y-Cyclone, keeping the energy into play, moving it to the bench where it's safer. If for some magical reason he's able to get a big burst of damage on us, but I can't see it coming. But you always have to be wary when you're using Yveltal these days, because Emolgas can spring up from anywhere. Not Emolgas, sorry, Dedens. Deden with a muscle band or something can just wipe out an Yveltal from very high HP. And if it has a bangle, it can actually one-shot if you have 3 energy on you. So Y-Cyclone is just a safer move. Our opponent gets down the Sigilyph, the thing that I'm most worried about at the moment, because our Garbodor's not online yet. So he can block all of our attacks, or all damage from the attacks anyway, from all of our Pokemon in play at the moment. It's not like Garbodor's a prolific attacker himself, so he's also got another Phanpy with his Karina and a Muscle Band to increase his output on the Donphan. So now next turn he's threatening a knockout. So here we go with the Sigilyph. I feel like we're just going to dump our hand down and go for that Juniper. So we're going to start off with the Megaphone, throw down the Laser, just in case we can trap it up there. It doesn't seem like we're able to. We could go for the Ultra Balls, but I feel like the Muscle Band is going to be more important here, so we'll slap that on the active and just go for that big old Sycamore. We do get energy, which is nice. We also get a tool for Garbodor, which is also very nice. I do prefer getting Float Stones for Garbodor. That's why I sort of was hesitant to put it on the Muscle Band, the first one that we had, onto it straight away. But I feel like it's important just to wipe out this Sigilyph right now. Basically, you gotta force your opponent into... if you can't attack the Donphan, you want to be getting knockouts each turn, because otherwise it will just run away with the game. So, at the moment, we're 2 prizes up, but it does look like our opponent's going to be able to retaliate next turn. But who knows, without the Muscle Band, we might be in the clear. He sends up the Donphan pretty confidently, and gets another one into play. And an energy to it as well, spreading his energy around the board. And he's only able to hit the 40 this turn and go straight into that Sub-Robot. That's pretty good for us. Keeping our attackers alive is obviously a good thing. But obviously at the moment our hand's not looking too fantastic. We do have options, but it looks like we are going to have to hit that Sub-Robot this turn, unfortunately. I'm just going to take the... attach an energy for the turn, and we're just going to run through this Sub-Robot. We don't want anything to do with it. Unfortunate there that we didn't have any VS Seekers or Lysanders of our own to grab something else up, but that's the whole point of Donphan, making you attack things you don't want to do to help them win. So Sub-Robot, when you knock it out, you don't get a prize, so that's why I didn't take one, or wasn't given the option to. He is able to find that Muscle Band now, didn't really matter, but just for future reference, good to know the maths. And take his first 2 prizes and send up a Wobbuffet. Interestingly, he doesn't have any Float Stones or anything at the moment, but I'm sure he runs a high count of those, so we can't take anything for granted. We do want to run through this Wobbuffet if we can. Wobbuffet's actually not really a problem for this deck because of the Garbodor anyway. We don't rely on abilities at all. I don't run Darkrai or anything like that. So I'm just looking at the weakness and stuff. It's actually Psychic, so... And the HP is 110, so at the moment we're doing 20, 40, 60, 80. With a Muscle Band and an energy, we can get that knockout. And because his Donphan's energy have been spread, I'm pretty comfortable just going for that big burst of damage and taking another prize here. So we've done very well to keep up with the prize trade so far against Donphan. We've only seen 1 Sigilyph down from our opponent, so that's a major bonus. But we do obviously have the Garbodor at the moment, so it's going to be sort of a tug of war if he can get more Megaphones out, or if I can keep tools on Garbodor to make sure that his Sigilyphs aren't safe from our attacks. But at the moment we just see DC come down onto the Donphan, so now that is definitely a threat, and an Ultra Ball. Grabbing a Zekrom. This is not too big of a threat at the moment, seeing as though how much energy we have on our Yveltal, but earlier on that could have been a real danger for us. He's also going to grab a Karina. and get a computer search with that Karina, so next turn he can secure himself a supporter. Not a bad play at all. And he's going to go for that 60 damage and straight into the Zekrom. He has 130 HP. At the moment we're doing 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. We do have the laser as well. First of all, I'm going to use this Ultra Ball so that we have an attacker for next turn. And we're going to go for another Yveltal, I think. Safest bet. We do have some Raichus and stuff that we can use. We do have that laser to make that damage, which is nice. Gonna get it tails, but that's not relevant. Just going to do another count. You have to be certain in these things. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, and the 10 from the laser is going to be good. We're also able to get a DC into play and hit that Sycamore. We also grab a Raichu. May as well slap it down just for deck thinning purposes. I feel like we're pretty safe putting the Mewtwo down here as well. And we have some options for next turn. I want to hold on to this card because it's also going to be important in the future turns, especially against Donphan. So let's just go for that Evil Ball and make Zekrom die. And yeah, we're in a pretty good position against this Donphan at the moment. We've been able to keep Yveltals alive. That is one difficult thing for Donphan. It can't get knockouts early, so we have been able to keep on top of our attachments, and our flow of Pokemon's been fine. We're going to see our opponent go for the computer search. Interesting, he discarded a fighting energy to go for that N. Good play from him. Seeing that my hand was pretty strong, or at least it had a good number of cards in it, he wanted to reduce me down to 2 and hope that I couldn't, and he was just hoping to grab an energy, which he does indeed. He grabs a second strong, and he will be able to wreck me here if he chooses to. He's going to grab another Muscle Band, put that onto his Donphan on the bench. And hit that 120 damage to send Yveltal to his grave. He's going to pick up 2 prizes for that, and we're going to go straight into the Raichu because it has free retreat. We've been able to grab a Verbank City Gym. We've not really needed that so far in the game. And a Bicycle. We're going to see what we can draw here. We're able to get into a Dark Energy, which is really important, so we can retaliate, knock out this Donphan, which is going to be huge. So let's do that. And we're going to use a Skylar as well. Pretty much force him to end us next turn. If he doesn't, we've pretty much secured the win. So I'm not sure if it's... got a decision to make. Could go for a Sycamore, or could just go for that Lysander. I don't know which is going to be more important here. I feel like the... I think the Sycamore's the best play. Just because it will give us more options next turn. We're going to go straight into that Yveltal so that we can do that Evil Ball, get rid of that Donphan. And we look to be sitting in a pretty good position here. His bench Donphan only has 1 energy on it. He's only got a 4-card hand. But we'll see what he can come up with here. At the moment, we're not really threatened by any of his bench sitters. He's only got that Wobbuffet, and we can pretty much take that down pretty easily. He goes into a sub-robot. That's going to be pretty tricky, so maybe the Lysander was the best option after all, but who knows. At the moment, the Donphan's only doing 40 damage because of the resistance that Yveltal has. He also gets a Sigalith down. That's not really too much of an issue with our Garbodor online at the moment. And he does indeed have a Juniper. He's going to put a Fighting Stadium, first one of those we've seen from him, into play. He's going to put a Floatstone onto the Wobbuffet, which is interesting. Maybe just getting it out of the hand. I can't see him not going into the sub-robot this turn. What's good is he Junipered himself, so we're able to Sycamore next turn. And there's a couple of things we can get from the Sycamore that could help us win this turn. So he ends the turn into the sub-robot as we imagined. I'm just going to Don't really see much point in benching a Trubbish at this point, so we'll just let it go. Sycamore it away along with a Raichu, that's not going to be relevant at all. And we do get a couple of things, nothing too important though. We do get DCE, so I'm going to slap that onto the Raichu because we can use that to get a knockout this turn. I'm going to put a Float Stone onto the active and retreat into it. This way, if we're just basically forcing him to get more cards to be able to knock out our Yveltal next turn. And there's no real reason not to. So there goes a knockout, but no prizes, remember, because it is that sub-robot. And he's able to go into his Wobbuffet. So really close end to this game. Very interesting indeed. Donphan always seems to bring out drawn out and close games. Just the nature of how the deck works. And as you can see, we're both down to pretty small decks at the moment. I've got 8 cards, he's got 12. He's able to get another Fighting Stadium into play. Looks like they're all clumped at the bottom of his deck. He gets a Mr. Mime down, that's not going to do too much. And he goes for that N, the suicidal N. Just hoping that the walls that he has in play are going to be sufficient to take down both the Raichu and the next Pokemon that we force him to kill, pretty much. So there he goes, spinning turn, getting rid of our Raichu, sending up that Wobbuffet that has 100 HP left. At the moment, we're only doing 90 with Y-Cyclone, or 2, 4, 6, 8, 80 with Evil Ball. Still going to send up that Yveltal because we do have a Float Stone on it, and we pull 2 ends, so not much choice here. We're just going to use it and hope for the best. And we draw into our other end. That's great. So, based on the Donphan here, Yveltal is still our best option to keep in the active slot because we've got no energy for the Mewtwo, and the Garbodor's got a Muscle Band, so we couldn't really retreat that. I feel like we may as well just fire off a Evil Ball here. I want to keep the energy on Yveltal because I feel like it's still our best attacker. And just hope that Jack didn't draw a good supporter or an energy. That's what it comes down to at this point. We're just going to go for an Evil Ball. Let's see how well he draws. Oh, he has a Professor's Letter, so that's pretty bad. Not a good sign. He is able to get that fighting energy. Slapped on the Donphan and clear out the last Yveltal for his last 2 prizes. But that was a very close game. Able to pull it back there, Jack, with a powerful N, demonstrating, if nothing else, the power that an N can have in the late game, because we did start running away with that game a little bit. So that's the first game. Hopefully we're going to get 2 more in here with different Yveltal builds. That was the Garbodor version. And next we're going to be looking at... Why is it not letting me move across to it? There we go. Oh, here we go. We've got a challenge from him. And we'll find right at the end, because Yveltal has an annoying name, we want to use a straight Yveltal this time. So this is an Yveltal without all the Garbodors and whatnot. We're using Keldeos and Darkrai's and Mewtwo's to give us free retreat and different options for attackers. So it could do... it's definitely faster. First mulligan from us. But Garbodor does offer a lot of utility, especially as you saw against the Donphan deck. The Garbodor really helped out against Sigilyphs, which could otherwise be a problem. Mulling quite a lot. We're playing 10 basics, so we should be able to find a couple in a minute. But hey, there we go. We do get a starter at last, but we've also given Jack the opportunity to draw a lot of cards. I think it was 3 or 4 mulligans there, which is never good. But we'll see what he wants to bring up. We have no choice in the matter. And let's have a look. So he's still playing that Donphan deck. I would pretty much wager just from the off that this deck has a worse matchup than the Garbodor Yveltal, just because of those Sigilyphs and stuff. But there are still ways that this deck has to get around that. So we're going to hopefully see a couple of those tricks up our sleeves later. He starts up pretty strong with a strong energy and a muscle band. Goes for a Karina as well for another Fampi. And also a sub-robot. He's going to bench both of those. and just pass it over. Pretty strong turn from him. We're going to start off with a Verbank and a laser, because as you can see our hand is pretty poor right now. We are able to get heads, and I'm just going to Juniper this stuff away. I don't really see a Chorus for 2 being a strong play, but... And here we go, some more options now, that's always good to see. We're going to bench both of those Yveltals, both the EX and the non-EX. We are going to attach an energy to Yveltal and pass it over, hoping that that Phanpy stays asleep and that he doesn't have a Donphan. Well, at least he did stay asleep, but obviously an evolution can get him out of that anyway, so not too big of a deal in terms of sleep flips. We see a DCE come down onto a bench Phanpy and an N. That's pretty welcome. We did have options next turn, but a free N is nice, getting us 2 more cards. He does indeed go into that Donphan and grabs himself a Fighting Stadium and a substitute robot. Muscle Man comes down onto the Phanpy as well on the bench. So a lot of good stuff happening for Jack really early on. And he goes straight into that substitute robot. Fortunately for us, Keldeo is not really the... we can just let him sit on the bench, and if he wants to Lysander it up later on, I don't really have much issue with that. We are just going to start powering up this Yveltal. I'd rather not N, but what other choice do I have really with this hand? Because we don't want to give our opponent cards ever, but sometimes you just gotta bite the bullet, and the benefits that you can get from N-ing yourself more cards sort of outweigh what your opponent can get. Because Jack's pretty much already got his setup, and we really haven't, so we weren't able to grab either a Floatstone or any switching card. So we're just going to have to let the Keldeo die, unfortunately. Not too big of an issue, really. I mean, it is 2 prizes, but we don't need Keldeo to get out of poison or anything in this matchup, so it's a necessary loss, I guess. And if he does want to attack us, he's got to get rid of one of his substitute robots, which is always nice. He gets down a Wobbuffet. He's going to go for a Skylet here. And grabs himself a Floatstone, which he proceeds to put onto the Wobbuffet. Slaps a Fighting onto his bench Phanpy, stacking that up at this point. That's a threat if he does find a Donphan at some point. And he is going to clear out our Keldeo. And straight into that sub-robot once again. If he'll ever take his prize. There he goes. Takes his 2 prizes for the turn. For the knockout, I mean. And we're going to go into Yveltal. As you can see, we've got the Jirachi, and I feel like grabbing a Lysander would be a really strong play here. The decision is, do I actually want to take out the Donphan or the Phanpy? At the moment, Phanpy's in the position to revenge kill us if he's able to get a Donphan and an energy next turn. Or at least rack up some big damage. And at the moment, the spinning turns are only going to be doing... how much is it going to be doing? 80, I think, with our resistance. So I feel like the Phanpy might be more of a threat at this point. Regardless, we're going to begin to develop our board a little bit. Attach one to the bench Yveltal EX. At some point, we may have to start attaching to the non-EX if he does start getting Siglifs out. But for now, I feel like it's best to just take out the Phanpy here. We're going to go and grab one of our Lysanders and just take it out because I don't want to deal with a Donphan that has the opportunity to wreck. So another question here is, should I Evil Bull or just Y Cyclone? I'm also going to choose to Evil Ball, keep the energy on the active because it's threatening all kinds of Pokemon on his board at this stage, so may as well keep the momentum going. He goes into Wobbuffet and puts a DC on the Donphan this time. So that's also a threat, but he's only got one in play at the moment, so if we are able to catch that unawares, that would be very nice. And he's going to proceed to N us. Not too worried about that. And gets a Sigilyph down with a Float Stone. Now that is something I'm worried about. Something you don't want to see. Sigilyph completely walls everything on our board at the moment. Yveltal can only do 30 to it, as is. But we do have some options, as you can see from our hand. We're able to get Darkrai out, which means we can retreat freely, which is going to be really helpful. As long as those Wobbuffets aren't in the active position, we should have free retreat, which is nice. Need to decide now what I want to attack with, because I feel like this card here is going to be the strongest play. And think about what he's going to send in, because we want to know our attacker now, because if he goes into Wobbuffet, we'll have to be certain what we want to do. So I'm going to slap a DC here and go for the escape rope, forcing that Sigilyph out of the way. This is one of the main reasons why I like to play at least one escape rope in every deck. It's a nice pseudo Lysander. If there's just anything but the active Pokemon, basically, is the strategy. It's just a nice card, and it acts as a switch, which is good in certain times. So as we see, he does decide to go into the Wobbuffet. Not sure why he didn't go into a sub-robot there. It seemed like a good opportunity. But nonetheless, we are going to be able to hit for 90 here. Could go for a Hypno Laser. He has got 2 Float Stone in play already, and only a hand of 2. So I feel like going for that sleep would be a good punt at this point. We are able to get heads, so that's nice. And we're going to Y-Cyclone at this point so that we can move an energy to the non-EX. Start stacking that up for when a Sigilyph comes knocking. So he does indeed stay asleep, so that's unfortunate on his part, but let's see if he can get out of it. I wanted to move the DCE over so that we can still free retreat with Yveltal, and it means we can still attack next turn. But obviously at the moment he has the Wobbuffet up, so Darkrai's not going to be doing anything. He does Karina for a Donphan, which is interesting. I would have definitely thought of Phanpy if he had one, so gives us a lot of hope right now. If he we've only taken down one Phanpy and one's active, so probably 2 are prized, unless he has one on the in his hand already. Now I need to be careful about what I want to bring up here. He responds with a escape rope, and I feel like a lot of options here are pretty ugly for us. I feel like the non-EX Yveltal is our best bet. I don't want him to take another 3-2 prizes on a Jirachi. Darkrai obviously has weakness, so it's very frail, and if he is able to wreck, I don't want to send up my Yveltal EX. So the non-EX will have to do at this stage. But again, the non-EX is also valuable for our fight against Sigilyph, because we can't just catch around all day. He's going to decide to go into a different Wobbuffet here, as we draw for the turn. We are going to slap a Float Stone onto the active. Now we have a decision to make of what attacker to use this turn. We're not going to be getting knockout if we use any of our Yveltals. No Dark in the Ditch, so we don't want to waste this non-EX, surely. So we are going to have to attack with our most built-up Yveltal at this stage. And we're probably going to go for a Y-Cyclone, so that we can stack energy onto the non-EX, because again, we got to be wary of the Sigilyph that he has. We're able to pull one of our prizes from that, equal up the prizes, but again, it looks like Jack's in a pretty strong position with his Donphans at this stage. But like I said, he didn't grab another Phanpy, so if we're able to take this down, we could be in a very strong position. Unless it was a masterful bluff on his part. But I can't see the use in just doing that, so... he's able to get another strong energy into play onto his active, so he does have the chance to take out us, but he may value the Donphan over that. Actually, how much is he doing with the spinning turn? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So yeah, he's already got the knockout with just a spinning turn, so that's strong. He's going to get the computer search now. Interesting to see what he wants to grab here. We have been supporterless for a couple of turns. Maybe the Jirachi for the Lysander wasn't so strong, but I felt like taking out the Phanpy at that point was the right move. Maybe not the safest option, I guess. We're going to see Jack take the knockout with the spinning turn and go straight into that sub-robot. Pretty strong plays from him so far, and he only has 2 more prizes to take. And that could come from anywhere. He could even have gone for a Lysander or something so that he could catch something next turn. And we don't have an N, so it looks pretty grim at this stage. So, obviously the Donphan is staring us down with all that energy, so we can't attack with an EX this turn. We only need to do 30 to get a knockout, so that's something. I could go for an Ultra Ball here, but I don't see the real benefit of that, apart from getting Darks in the discard for an Oblivion Wing. But we may as well just use our attachment for the turn rather than that. And we've already used our Jirachi, that would have been nice to grab. So we are going to have to just attach the active, free retreat via Darkrai, because he hasn't got any of his Wobbuffets in our faces right now. And we're just going to go for the Oblivion Wing for the knockout. No Darks in the discard, no prizes. Pretty grim at this point. Like I say, the Garbodor is one of the real... this deck, I mean, is one of the real reasons why Garbodor is so needed in Yveltal builds, in my opinion anyway. I guess it depends on your metagame. If everyone's running around with Garbodors and stuff, you maybe a more streamlined build such as this one is better. But if you don't really know what you're gonna play against, you might want to go with the Garbodor and just be safe for times when you play against someone with a Donphan deck who throws Sigilyphs in your face all day, as we are seeing here. So he's going to go into a Sigilyph, and 1 prize left to take. We really needed to draw something good there, but as you can see, just a Dark Energy. Pretty grim at this point. So we're going to just, I guess, attach and wait our doom. Just hand it over to Jack, give him the satisfaction. See the game out. And again, Donphan tearing it up. This has been more of an advert for Donphan than using Yveltal at this stage. But yeah, defeat again. Yveltal outsmarted by Donphan. So here we have one more battle, another variant of Yveltal, if we can ever get to it. Here we go. Yveltal Bronzong, probably the... well, it's definitely the least tested of the 3. Where can I find it? Here it is. And it's basically using the new Bronzong to help stack up energy. It's like an old school version of Electrics that used Mewtwo as a main attacker, because basically you just abuse the extra attachments for your Y-Cyclones and Evil Balls. Mulligan seems to be a theme of this episode. 2 as well. Not great for us, but there are more attackers in this deck than just Yveltals. As you can see, there's a Darkrai to give our guys free retreat, which is nice. It's pretty much a hybrid of using the abilities of Dark Pokemon and the strength of Dark attackers with the new Bronzong, which can help us get energy into the board and stuff like that. So once again, we're playing a Donphan. We're just going to go for the Professor's Letter here, just to grab. Could grab a metal and a dark, but I feel like 2 metals is going to be more important here. We get our attachment for the turn, and we're just going to hand it straight over. Obviously, Wobbuffet here, this is where you see, in terms of Jack's perspective, Wobbuffet is going to be pretty strong going into that guy, because our Bronzong won't be useful at all. His ability will be locked down, so we see him grab a fan piece straight away and a strong energy. Goes straight for an Ultra Ball to grab another one. Discarding a Megaphone along the way, and a Fighting Energy, and just going for that Juniper, discarding DCE and Ultra Ball. He gets a Fighting Stadium into play, and another Wobbuffet. So it looks like abilities are going to be off for a little while. We're going to start dumping our hand down at this point because we have drawn quite nicely into a Bicycle. And just hope for the best off a bike from 2. And we are able to grab a Colress, which is very nice. And we're going to get 6 fresh cards. Not really too many options here. I'm not sure what's the best way to go about beating this deck. There are more attackers than just the Yveltal, and I feel like they could be pretty efficient. But for now, I feel like it's strongest just to go for an Evil Ball. Start putting pressure on this Wobbuffet. And let's see what he can respond with. He's able to get Donphan into play. And another energy onto it. Starting to threaten already. That's the great thing about Donphan. It only needs 2 energy on it to start threatening EXs, just even full HP EXs. So he's going to go for a Karina. Grabbing a Muscle Band and a Donphan as well. So that Donphan is getting pretty strong at this point. He's doing 40, 60, 80. 80 with the resistance to us. And spinning into another one of those Wobbuffets. The fresh one seems pretty strong on his part. And we got to think about what we can do here. We want to start getting knockouts, obviously, but we don't have any meaningful ways to do that at this point. I'm going to just slap a Floatstone onto Bronzong for the sake of it, really. Just to get it out of the hand. I feel like Ultra Balling here. We want to start thinning out our deck and grabbing different attackers. This is one of the ones that could be pretty influential in the game because it can hit through Sigilyphs and it can knock off special energies as well. So that's a valuable card, and something that sets this deck apart from other Yveltal builds is you have the utility against Safeguarders without having to use Garbodor. We are going to end here, and we're able to get some energies, which is nice. We're also able to get a Muscle Band and energy, so that we can wipe this Wobbuffet out of the game for now, and keep some energy on board as well. Moving it to another Yveltal, and grabbing the first prize of the game. Jack's able to go into his Donphan here. Getting a sub-robot into play. And attaching another strong energy so that he can make magic numbers here, I imagine. And yeah, we see a computer search. For another Wobbuffet, I imagine. And he's just going to Juniper, getting rid of another fighting energy. He's able to find that Muscle Band and a Sigilyph as well. And he is going to spinning turn for the knockout straight into that Wobbuffet. We're going to send up this Bronzong that now has free retreat. And obviously our abilities are shut down to the Wobbuffet that's in front of us. But we do have some options here. The question is, what do I want to attack with? And what supporter am I going to use? If we use a Lysander, we can get 2 Bronzong into play, get 2 energy attached, but then Cobalion's only going to be hitting 30 to whatever we send, whatever we pick off. So I feel like using a VS Seeker, excuse me, is stronger here, and just going for a big chorus of 9 cards. Could also Ultra Ball for another attacker, but I feel like the Megaphone is going to be pretty useful, getting rid of Floatstones. We have already got rid of 2, so we need to keep an eye on that throughout the game. I'm just going to go for the chorus here. And we are able to get into some energy, which is nice. So we are able to take out the Wobbuffet this turn. I'm not sure if a third Bronzor is really needed. Bronzong in this deck is not as essential as the main Bronzong deck that focuses around Dialga and Steel Shelter and all that sort of support. Bronzong really just adds an extra energy when you need it for extra 20s with Evil Ball and stuff, so you don't really need to be using Metal Links each turn with this deck. So here we're just going to retreat and go for the another decision. Do we Y-Cyclone? I feel like a Y-Cyclone is stronger because that Donphan is threatening. It just needs any sort of energy to get a knockout here. I feel like the Cobalion's the strongest option to send an energy to. Could go for the Darkrai, but obviously weak to fighting is not great. Although the Snipe would be nice just to get rid of a sub-robot. But at the moment, the Donphans are just too threatening. He does go into the Donphan with all of his energy invested into it. And he also shuts down the Darkrai play with a Mr. Mime. And he's going to target the Cobalion, which is very interesting, for a knockout. And keep his Donphan active. So we're able to go into Bronzong here. Get a Cobalion down. And we're definitely going to be ending this turn because we pretty much have to, if we want to stay in this game, because his hand is getting pretty intimidating at this point. We're going to get rid of a couple of things. A Bronzor and a VS Seeker. So that we can grab a Darkness Energy. So that we can use Yveltal. So that's what we're going to do there. We're going to use our first Metal Links of the game to grab our 1 Metal Energy. Start stacking up Cobalion if he does want to send up a Sigilif. And we are going to hit him with an N. It's more about stopping our opponent at this point than getting cards for ourselves. And we're just going to retreat and go for an Evil Ball. Let's get a knockout here. Wipe all of his energy off the field and hope that the end to 2 has been pretty disruptive. Take our third prize of the game. And let's see what he can respond with. He goes into the Substitute Robot, which doesn't fill him with confidence, I imagine. He doesn't have too much going on. Gets a Fighting Stadium into play and a Fampi and just hands it over. So that's pretty good for us. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to capitalise too strongly with the hand we have. We're supporterless at the moment. But it does buy us a turn to start stacking up Cobalion. And we could do some deck thinning here by just going for a Professor's Letter. Get it out of the hand, get it out of the deck, so we're less likely to draw junk next turn. And we can just go for a Evil Ball here pretty comfortably. No real rewards other than he's going to have to send up something that will give us a prize next turn if he has nothing to respond with. He's going to go into a Sigilif and slaps another one down as well and hands it over, so he is struggling with that N, which is always nice to see. It's happened to us in a earlier game in this episode, so now we are reaping the rewards of a powerful N. We're able to get another energy onto Cobalion. May as well slap the muscle band down there as well, because why not? It's something to get out of the hand, and our opponent really doesn't have much, and if he wants to N us back, now that we're going down to 2 prizes, I'd rather have it on the field than draw into it. So now we're looking in a strong position. Our opponent has no energy in play, no float stones or anything. And with a combination of Cobalion and Yveltal, we can pretty much take down everything that's in front of us in one hit. He is able to grab a supporter. It is a Karina, which is probably not the one he was hoping for. But he's able to get Donphan. And maybe a couple of other things here. Let's see what he goes for. A Professor's Letter, so that he can start getting energy into play and get his spinning turns back. Just grabs 1 energy. Wow, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, he's still probably got energy in the deck, so he's chosen only to get 1. But he drops his hand down to 0 and hands it over back to us. We're just going to go for a Megaphone for the sake of using a Megaphone and make that Donphan a little less threatening. We can attach for the turn onto Yveltal and just Steel Bullet for the 120 with our Muscle Band and pretty much give him a 1-turn clock. If he can't get a good top deck here, we've pretty much won. So there it is, a Zekrom. That's not going to be doing anything. The Yveltal is too stacked up at this point. He extends the good game to us gentlemanly, seeing as though he's already beaten us twice. But there we are. We can just attach to the Cobalion so that we can free retreat. Let's just make sure the math's right. We're doing 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. We are safe. We did have the energy switch anyway. But we can just Evil Ball, clear out the Donphan, and finally get a satisfying win against that deck. But there it is, victory. You've seen a lot of Donphan demonstrated, and 3 different types of playing, 3 different Yveltal builds, all strong in different ways. I personally don't know which is strongest. At the moment, I would stick with the Garbodor. It's probably the safest route. It's the tried and tested method, but it does just show that there are other ways of playing Yveltal out there. The Bronzong especially is one to look out for in the future. With the Cobalions and stuff, you have good coverage for the mirror because you can get rid of special energies. It also gives you good Seismitoad matchup because you can get rid of their DCEs and then you're out of the lock and then your Bronzongs can get back online and stuff like that. Also, as you saw, you can hit through Safeguarders via the Steel Bullet instead of using abilities to do so. And it just gives you extra support, extra energies each turn, which Yveltal definitely appreciates and has lost since it lost Dark Patch. So that's a way of getting it back. So I hope you enjoyed, guys. A few battles today with these different Yveltal builds against Donphan, which is a pretty prominent deck at the moment. But basically that's it, guys. Until next time, I hope you enjoyed this battle video. I've been Joe from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you everything Pokemon, and see you next time.